Cavecast, the uncensored show for nerds of all kinds.
I mean, all you boys are different, but you have stayed truly that kid.
Well, it's even through retail. It's like I should have hated it, but I'm like, no, man, like this is the best time of the year. Like
it is.
The only thing I don't like is the cold, but I still love the snow. Like that's something that's never going to be, be a foreign thing for me.
I'm usually pretty excited to see like the cold weather come, but I have to admit that, we went through August. Yeah, we
did go through August.
We did go through August. No, we went through October, and there were so many like hot days that I felt like, shouldn't we be falling a little bit more than this? Because I get a little angry. Mm-hmm. And so I, even like jumping into November, I'm like, God, why is it still 72 degrees? Mm-hmm. And then overnight, boom, we got thrown into a polar vortex.
Oh, I love
and then
it.
it was 8 degrees. I'm like, so we ain't going to ease into this at all. We just jumping right in.
No, it was just nothing but a brick wall. So,
yeah.
Well, especially too, like I saw it in the front yard, like when I had the windows open, and again, like I'm a child. So when I see, just horizontal winds, but it's just nothing but just thick snowflakes, like it kind of, for me, goes back to that, I don't know if you ever saw that post on Facebook or maybe like Instagram, but it said, think of it, you wake up at 3 a.m. to get, a drink of water, and you look outside and all the snow is undisturbed. It's a big blanket across the world. Like that's I think that from like, no matter what house that we lived in, like there was always just a really good Christmas vibe, like even from like, because I think that the inside, determines the outside, where it's like, this is the space I'm in. I'm taking in this Bob Ross painting, so to speak. But that's a homey, just very comfortable vibe is what we've always just had. And it's something that like when I would go over to friends' houses and stuff, like not that they were awful, but like it was just kind of like, this doesn't feel like home, like it's like, I like the way that mom sets this up. I like the way that it feels, it's like, it's just great.
You develop your normal for your family. And I've become, as I'm older, that less is more, but what I keep is important. We have a mantle, we have a tree, and we have a nativity. That's all you need.
Yeah, right.
People, that's what it is. And, but when you have kids, you put stuff around the house because that's the festive, part of it. And, I just don't need to do all that stuff anymore. A kitchen towel is good.
It's I'm like good with say that. Ho 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 on it or something. Yeah. Change the vibe.
But it's you got to feel it. We just need to wake up and walk out in the living room and go, oh yeah, the tree is here. And just that kind of. I still do. But
yeah. Because even from like my earliest memories of, being a kid is that like, I think we've talked about it maybe on some previous like, Christmas podcasts, but it's such a predominant memory for me was coming down the steps in the first house. Not the first house we were in, but the one I remember like where I saw Barney, like you hurt his tail, like that whole thing,
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So, but no, I remember so vividly going to bed. And then kind of like when you wake up, like as a kid, like what I remember was that like it took me a second to remember what day it was.
Yeah.
And then it was, oh my God, it's Christmas. So I remember coming down the steps and coming to the right and looking at the Christmas tree. And obviously the gifts were there, that weren't there last night. And the detail that's never left me. And it's something that I've taken into like my, Christmas traditions when I can is the candy canes on the tree. Is that it was like, no, Santa left this. Like, like now you have a tree while you can open up your gifts and everything. We got, Cheese Whiz and, crackers and like all that stuff. Like it's just to me like that is Christmas. Like it is just like, oh my God, like it's so wild.
You kind of get all the cool junk that you don't think of, all year long. I think, I don't know when I started doing that, but I'm thinking I was trying to figure out what to put in your stockings one year. And I was just like going through the snack aisle. And I'm like, Cheese Whiz, what kid doesn't like just shooting some Cheese Whiz? Like just take a shot like a
they never
scotch.
lasted an hour.
No.
Like,
no. Yeah. By lunch, it was gone.
And then it was time to go have lunch.
And I finally had to start telling you, like, listen, you get one.
Right. There's not an unending
when it's
amount.
over, it's over. But that's the fun. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
And then you went to your grandma's, and both your grandpa and grandma's places, and they had their things that they did.
Yeah.
And two really thoughtful grandmas you've had over the years.
I'll say this is that especially like Grandma Dora's was, I think that was kind of like the main like hubbub that we would go to, like all the cousins and uncles and maybe even some other distant family would show up. Maybe somebody from or like a friend of like Grandma Dora's was visiting for Christmas or something.
Yeah.
But like her house on Red Rock, like that is just like, that is to me like the perfect home for a holiday.
Yeah.
Especially being able to sit in the other room with like the two couches, like there was no TV. There was nothing in there except for a fireplace and just a really good sitting area. And that's where we did gifts, like it was like, there's even that old picture I remember of Uncle Bill that he had the VHS tape of, I think it was
Seinfeld,
the 100th episode of Seinfeld. And he was just, he's Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So it's just like seeing that, or like the dancing Santa that sent you into a laughing fit. That I don't know. Was alcohol involved that night? I can't remember.
I don't know. It would have helped, but that was so hysterical. I couldn't breathe. Your Aunt Annie, she was the bomb. Yeah. I'm gonna not swear, but
no, you can say fuck.
Annie,
it's fine.
Annie was your grandpa's sister.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so she just had the most fun way about her. She grew up in Steubenville and went to high school with Dean Martin.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, she graduated high school with Dean Martin.
Was he a nice guy, or was he?
Yeah, I mean, she would, she knew him, went to school with him, and I would say, because she stayed with us for a while after your grandpa and grandma were apart, and we had that big house up on the corner.
Yeah, and
so she moved to Rittman, and it was just her and my cousin Jeff. So, we did everything together, but your grandma and Aunt Annie, good Lord, they could get into some stuff.
Well, especially too, like, because I like as a kid, it was so weird for me because, I was just focused on presents, playing, with Scott and like, getting to see, cousin Steve and, and everybody like, so my perspective was very different, but it makes me wonder what it was like to be an adult at that point, because like I know that they knew how to have a good time.
They just did. And I could say like, I think it was mostly maybe like over like a Jerry Lewis telethon or something like that. Over is it Labor Day, the Labor Day thing? That's what we did. We watched it. We watched it for 18 hours. We did, and cried and made phone calls and stuff. But I'd be in the family room, and she'd be in the kitchen making dinner or something, and I'd be, Annie, Dean Martin's on TV, and she'd go, he's probably loaded. I wouldn't see her. I could just hear her. She's, he's probably loaded. And but I know that I have told you before that one Christmas Eve, and I was in high school, and where we lived, Grandma's oldest brother, Uncle Jerry, just lived like around the corner and down the hill.
Weren't they all pretty local? Like they all pretty much stayed like in the area. Yeah.
And so every Christmas Eve there was the Christmas party downstairs in the bar room, pool table, fireplace, Uncle Jerry's bottled White Lightning.
Well, guys, to give you guys perspective, Grandma Dora's house, like, what was it? She built the house it was Aunt Dora. And so she had a couple people staying with her. So like there was a reason why the house was so big.
Well, she built the house with extra rooms, just in case. But there was always rooms, for somebody to stay in.
Right. Yeah.
And they did.
Well, it was just the fact that it's like when you would go in the basement, it was almost like another house completely. Like there was like the living room was down there. I think that there was like a bathroom. Then there was the big cement room where all of our like riding toys were, that we could just area. So we could just kind of like dick off and do whatever we wanted to. We could make noise. It didn't matter. But like that was like the perfect like party space.
Well, she knew what what she would probably use that home for when she built that house. And well, the one I'm speaking of is up here in town.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it was still a big old ranch house. And but that was the Christmas Eve that they went to Uncle Jerry's, and they didn't have far to go. They could drink whatever they wanted and drive up the hill and pull in the driveway.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so then they come home, God knows what, I was just home by myself, whatever, I'm the one going, where the hell have you been? And so
you're now the responsible mom for the night. Yeah.
But so y'all, they got turkey ready and got that thing in the oven, and we woke up the next morning and it smelled so good, and it was just us, and everybody was, and that was the best damn turkey we ever had. And they cannot remember what they did to it
because they were so loaded.
They were absolutely lit. Never had it again. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, knowing Annie, there was probably a can of beer involved.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't even know, but that was, to this day, I think about that just going, really? You two couldn't handle? But they got it done. There were no casualties.
Yeah, right.
Nothing was broken. So, hey.
That's because especially that's it makes me mad that I didn't, granted, you can't control your age, but it made me always want to experience those things and know it sounds funny, but what they were like in their prime.
Right.
And because it's, that's because even from, memories you've told me about grandpa, where it's let's go crash this Christmas party. It's like, do you know these people? Nope. No idea. What's
coolest thing ever.
And just the fact that it was no, they had the best time ever. And no, we were the life of the party when we showed up. It's that type of thing.
And you know what? That was back. I mean, let's think about it. That would have been in the 60s. Mm-hmm. That's, back then you could do that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody called the cops. You didn't end up on Nancy Grace. You didn't, nobody was there with a camera going, have you seen this woman? I mean, and that was I think we talked about it before. That was the year that your grandma came home with a gift exchange gift. And she goes, I didn't even take one.
Yeah. Right.
So they had a great time. Yep. In 30 minutes, they had everybody singing around the piano.
Oh my God.
So, but yeah, just being that age at that time with your grandma and Annie, there was only a few years that it was kind of like that. But I think of that a lot. Yeah. I really, really do, because it was just so laid back and relaxed and, and so what? So you have a little unconventional Christmas. Nobody cared what we did.
No.
And I mean, that's like your brother and Meg over Thanksgiving. The turkey wasn't thawed.
Yeah, right.
So we ate some crock pot meatballs for a while till the second turkey, and it was just it was the best time. It was so good.
I think that it's because coming from a place in my life where I hosted, and that was always a nightmare for one reason or another. But it was nice to be able to go over, just have everybody, and it didn't matter what happened.
Nope.
It's sure, you want certain things to work, but at the end of the day, where it's I ate more meatballs that day than I did any other any other fucking Thanksgiving, and it's there wasn't even the conventional turkey, but my God, there
was eventually, but
right, but
still, though,
it was just the fact I still had to be rolled home. You know what I mean? It's Thanksgiving was a success. All the stereotypes were there.
It's who you're with and what you make of it, and you can't. You can't stress over things like that because it doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't matter. And, we could eat ravioli out of the can. Who cares?
Right.
Don't care.
Well, I think that it stems back to even just how we were raised too, because I mean, again, my earliest memories are of, obviously you and, Randy, Dad, you guys, being married, that's what, I remember from my earliest memories and stuff. And growing up and, seeing how everything went down, it was just kind of no, we did holidays really, really well. And the thing is that it's even with, quote unquote, at that time, maybe if you want to call it a rich household, it really wasn't off the rails. Like it really, it was never like, oh, like this ridiculous thing or like, like everybody gets 30 presents. It was these are the things you asked for.
Right.
We did the best that we could. We made it happen. And because even, I think the way that, I think Mamaw said it was that even like with Aunt Heidi and everybody was that, when she asked, when Mamaw asked Aunt Heidi and Rex later in life, they were like, how did you feel growing up? Was that they basically said, look, we never had everything, but we had enough. Yeah. And to me, like, that's, it's just being surrounded by nothing but love, and just
that's everything.
It's to me, like, it's that, the spirit of Christmas, if you will, the Christmas spirit. Like, it's just that to me is the best. Like, I try my best to not lose that even now. Like it's because, in the past, like couple of Christmas Eves that I've spent on my own or if I've done my thing, like I still put on a fireplace on the big screen TV. I change the lights to red and green. I pour maybe like a finger of whiskey and just kind of sit back and go
enjoy.
Yeah. It's just be lost in it for a little bit, enjoy it. It's like, if it's warm enough, sit outside, wait for Santa. And if it's kind of cold, then be only outside for 5 minutes and wait for Santa.
There's still kind of like a wonder to Christmas Eve for me, no matter, where you are, what you're doing. And I kind of feel that. I think I can relate to that, what you're saying. Yeah. And all the stuff. I mean, that was grandma's job.
Yeah.
That's where you went and Santa just crash landed in the living room and it was, digging, throwing, reading names here and throwing them here, this is yours. But she loved that. Yeah. And she did it very well. And she just did it. It all was from her heart. Mm. And, she also had a gift for buying gifts and then she'd put them up and then she'd lose them.
Yeah. I did the Clark Griswold thing, which I find them like a year later. Yeah.
And there was one Christmas where she and I were cleaning out a closet and it was probably October or November. And I reached up and I pulled out a box. And I'm like, what is it? What is this? And I took out a Hallmark ornament that was new in the box. Now, you guys, she used to give everybody a dated Hallmark ornament for the year. Mm-hmm. Because they did really cool things. And so this one was for your Uncle Bill. And now this was in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And I think it said 1978 and it was a guitar. And she says, I wondered what happened to that. I'm like, oh my God, Mother. You just like, I go, are there any more in here? So she had already gotten like the ornaments. Here I go. Oh, you're fine. So he got two.
Really?
Because he was missing apparently 1978. It was the funniest thing. And that's just how we rolled. Mm-hmm. You just kind of go with it. I get those times where I sit down and I'll go to wrap. Set everything aside. This is so-and-so. This is so-and-so. This is so-and-so. That's not enough. And, I like to, I know quality over quantity, but, I'm still a mom. Yeah. And I still my brain goes and then I have to be like, okay, rein it in, Sherry.
Well, I think it's the way that you do gifts. It's, everybody gives gifts differently or like, thinks, approaches it from a different place because we're different people. But the thing is like, I still say that the best gift that I ever got from you and like, just because there was so much heart from it, and it was just like, it's like, oh my God, like it's the fact of like, this person pays attention to what I love or like, they know what's special to me. It's that picture of Joel and Ellie, of them in Pittsburgh, and I remember opening that up and it was so weird to see my favorite game be immortalized. Yeah. Where I'm like, I have this in my home. Like, oh my God, like it's in the hallway as we speak right now. It's been there. It's been there since that Christmas, but that's something that I've always loved is that like the light up guitar picks, like where it's like when you strike the strings and stuff. Yeah, and then I lost it the week after. I'll get you another one. But
those damn things, they were like, well, I'll tell you what, I was really struggling with you that Christmas. And I don't know why. It's not like you're difficult to shop for, but I was looking at like The Last of Us like stuff, and I saw that they had prints, and I thought, oh my gosh, I had to find one. I looked at 1,000 of those things because I didn't want it to say. I didn't want words on it. I didn't want it being a big ad for The Last of Us. I just
like not the game cover.
No,
like
I
things
just
like that. Yeah.
want it, and I remember I had seen that one, and I didn't save it, and I was so mad, and I looked for 2 months
Really?
for that thing online until I got it again, and I was like just beside myself. Like I would sit down and I'd like go through them, and there were other pictures, but they did not emote what that one did. I mean, I don't play the game, and I felt that one.
Well, it's such a beautiful picture just because it's right before they get to Pittsburgh when all hell breaks loose. You know, it's so calm. You almost feel the calm before the storm. Yeah.
And at that moment, they could be father and daughter just taking a ride in the truck. And they're not even looking at each other. She's looking out the window and he's driving. And it's just so, I don't know. You should share it sometime. Yeah. But yeah, I told your dad, I said, I'm buying this picture. I don't care how much it is. I'm buying this damn picture. And I don't know if I had to frame it. I can't remember. But either way, that probably is one of my favorite things I've ever given to you.
Well, it really is. Like, and I think that, like with the whole like experience things is that, and I don't want to take anything away from Grandma Dora's, Grandma Shirley's or anything like that. But being with the other Grandma Shirley and Grandpa Fred and being down at their place, like that is probably like number one, that was my safe haven, from all the stuff that was happening in my life at that point. Like when I went there, I knew nothing could hurt me. I knew that I was surrounded by love. I knew that, I was going to be fed till I exploded. I could sneak a Pepsi, like things like that. But it was so great. Like, cause that whole side of the family was there, but then it would kind of like dwindle down. Then it was just kind of like, all right, well, it's just grandparents and us and maybe a couple of cousins or whatever. But it's one of those that like the more and more I think about it is that, like I've missed Grandma Shirley more and more, as the years have gone by, but it's like, especially to be able to, experience Christmas with her was so incredible. She's just an incredible person. I'm so happy I got to know her.
She lived for that. She prepared for that like all year.
Yeah.
She would buy little gifts and all the cousins were coming, that's when they were all little. And she just would stash them. And your grandpa, his job was just, he just went to work.
Yep.
And came home.
Yep. They had their marriage down where it's like, I take care of the bills. I know, or you take care of the bills. I talk to the people. I'm the face of everything.
She was a social person.
Yeah.
And for sure. And, the tone has changed there, but, over the years, your grandpa has, has come out of his shell a little bit, and a lot of that had to do, I think, with Devin being born.
100%. Yeah.
And I think that did a lot for him. And yet, we've been able to enjoy your grandpa in such a beautiful way.
That's great.
Since then, he's got to be the most selfless person on this planet. There is a special room in heaven for that man.
Yeah. Well,
I'm serious, he's just like nobody I've ever known.
In my father's house, there are many rooms. If it were not so, I would not say
that's
it.
right.
Yeah.
And his is going to be a lodge.
Yeah.
A hunting lodge.
Have his deer and everything. Yeah. So.
So, but your Grandma Shirley, she was just a bright, beautiful light.
Yeah.
And she adored you.
See, it's weird because I remember being a rambunctious kid and being too obsessed with the computer and too obsessed with all those things. But like, I remember just like, specific times of whether or not like she would be like when you would get her laughing or like whenever she would like, or like
so cute.
I remember the one time coming into the kitchen and her and Grandpa were designing the footpath in the front of the house because he was going to like either make the blocks or he was going to go get them.
That's right.
And I don't remember, like, it was something like this, was that he drew it out because he sketched it out and he said, yeah, Shirley, this is what we should do. Like, we'll do this. It's like, we'll have it lead. And she's like, Fred, those are not hexagons. And this, to which they were like a playful bickering. But then I was like overplaying with my toys or something. She's like, Kyle, get over here. And I went, yes. And she's like, what are those? I'm like, those are pentagons. Pentagons. There's 5 sides, Grandpa. It's so
that is hysterical.
But that was just the dynamic. Like that's what it was like. And to know that house operated with way less room and they made Christmas happen. Like I mean, because they had a whole new development. I mean, it's still there to this day, but like we're like the big living room and like all that stuff. Like it's because that's all that I know. And to know that it's like sometimes it got crowded even in that big space. And I'm like, they could work in that little living room.
I got to tell you what, when I first met Mike, and we dated, and then we didn't, and then we dated, and then we didn't, and
hey, then we found each other.
Then I married your dad, you know, and then then afterward, then we dated, and then we didn't. I'm like, is this guy gonna get it or what? But anyway, all those years beforehand, I remember going to that house, and the house stopped at the kitchen. So I remember what that, what that was like. And it was so cute because she had like her little table in there and where she would sit and she would make food. And I mean, I think of it now, I'm like, God, where did they put everything?
Right.
It's not a very big kitchen, but she had a little TV. She had a little TV on the counter, like one of those little bitty ones. And she would sit in there. I think she probably watched, soaps or something.
Yeah, so she loved movies, loved shows, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so, then years and years later, when your dad and I crossed paths again, they had put that addition on, and it's the big ceiling and everything. It's not a huge room, but it feels big and beautiful, and it's very homey. It's very homey in there. So the first Christmas they had in there, they didn't even have carpet. They walked on the plywood.
Hey, you know what? You make it work.
Shirley was like, Friday, putting up that tree, like right here. And when and the kids don't care. They didn't care. But she was like your grandma Dora. She had a ton of gifts for those kids. Yeah. And she just wanted everybody to feel special and loved. And we miss her a lot. She's a beautiful soul.
It's one of those that like I know that from, my perspective, that it was always the, like the thing of like, wow, like this family just met me and they took me in, it was like, I was always one of them, and like, it was also the mentality of, I not that we were ever like forced to dress up or whatever, but like we would dress up if we went to grandma's or if we would do something. But after, life became what it has been, after, certain events and things, like I remember getting ready to go over to Grandpa and Grandma's, and I think I was in my pajamas because it was like a lazy day. Like we like didn't have anything going on leading up to it. And I said, Mom, what should I wear? And you said, well, just wear whatever you want. Like, are you comfortable? Like, it's like put on your shoes, let's go. Like it was, and that was kind of the first moment that I realized like how relaxed everything was. Yep. It didn't matter if I was wearing my Mountain Dew pants and they were very loud. She just wanted a big hug and wanted to know how I was doing. And it's like that's just the vibe we have always had. Like we're a very very chill family.
Do you remember when you would come in and she'd be talking to you and she would say, Kyle? And you go, what? And you go, did you go to Sunday school this week?
Oh, yep.
You go, yeah, I did.
What'd you learn about? We played with blocks.
Yeah. She was very, oh no. She's amazing. Yeah. Amazing. I think about her a lot over Christmas. Think about that a lot. And your grandpa, he does just enough. Yeah. He doesn't know, I mean, it's because it isn't the same, but it's still it's still good.
Well, I think it's the fact that it's like it still feels like home.
It does.
Like, you know, it's because like I mean the staple things I always remembered was that, you know, because I don't know what, like, if I'm remembering correctly, but I do know that she always loved to have the village up, you know, like with the trains and, you know, the, you know, new editions every year or whatever. Like he put out the fake snow, like, 'cause that was all for her. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that it was, you know, I think that there was a couple of years that he didn't, you know, but then when Devin got old enough, then it was, we'll do this again, you know, and it was, I know that like it made my heart leap for joy because like that's just, it, you know, just brings out the Christmas nut in me where I'm like, oh my God, there's the town cavern. Oh, there's the kids that are on the ice and like, oh, it's not working today. Bang it a little bit. Maybe they'll start moving, you know, because like it's so old, you know, but no, like that was just, it was such a cool vibe. Like, cause especially to like when all the lights would be off except for like the Christmas tree and like, you know, the wreaths and things like that, the house just transformed. Like you could just feel it change.
It does. You know what? That is one of my favorite, my favorite things because when you're decorated for Christmas, and I mean our place is very small, but it doesn't take much. It just doesn't take much, and that's, you know, your dad and I, you know, relax in the evening and we have our stuff that we watch because we still watch TV.
Yep,
we're old and we watch TV, and so. You know, that we like that ambient light anyway when we're just relaxing, or we'll go upstairs. You know, we have a little tree upstairs, the Santa Claus tree, and it sits in the only window that we have up there, and that thing came together one year because I was just like, well, we got a Santa hat. We could throw this on top, you know, like, and it just sort of morphed into something. And so, you know, we go up there for fall and winter because it's nice and cozy. And your dad sits over here and he does a puzzle with his glasses, like which is hilarious.
He's a grandpa now.
He's hilarious. Yep. And I've got my chair over here and we got our TV and I crochet. So we become the people we really are. Upstairs is what I say. And yet,
I love that so much.
Well, it's true because, you know, being regular mom's hard. It's kind of exhausting.
Well, I think that goes back to that whole thing of just like, oh my God, like it's like, what was it like raising them, or like, well, but it's like, no, you put up with a lot of shit, and it's like, and we're all on good terms, so everything's fine.
It is.
But,
it's so funny because, you know, sometimes I'll think, gosh, I forget, you know, sometimes what it was like, and then Eric will do something or say something, go, oh, there he is.
You're right. Yeah.
There we are.
Just talk. We'll get everything we need.
It's okay. But, you know, like, I think that just having that space, we've, you know, our house is small, but we have different places to go. In the summer, we have the sunroom. There's a TV out there. We have TVs everywhere. And because that's our thing, you know, whether I'm watching something or I have YouTube, like a screensaver on, you know, whatever, that feels good to me. And so we just know what we do, and that's how we roll. And so those times that when we're upstairs and we're staying warm and so forth, and now, you know, of course, Chandler, that's most of her toys up there. That's kind of Chandler's world, right? A lot. And the futon folds down into a bed. And so the last time she was there, she spent the night upstairs by herself for the first time. Oh, really? And she got to sleep with the tree on, and I gave her the Santa Claus blanket that I made a few years ago for your grandma. And then your grandma was like, this is a little heavy. So I'm like, okay, Mom, that's great. So
we'll repurpose it.
We'll just go with it. But, you know, that's where Chandler watches movies and paints and plays with her Play-Doh and gets out the castle. And we have the popcorn maker, and her and Grandpa go make popcorn. And that it's the stuff you do at Grandma's house, I guess.
What I'm actually curious is that, like, with, like, I mean, obviously, like, you know, when you're growing up and like you reach different stages of your life, you know, where it's like, you know, oh, like, you know, I'm a kid, you know, I'm a toddler. Okay, now, like, I'm a teenager. Oh, and like, you know, in your case, it's like now I'm a mom. now I'm, doing this and this. And you've broken ground into being, a grandparent, and it's like, you and dad both, and it's something that I know that it's like, I will never experience because I know I don't want kids, but in the same hand like that, it makes me wonder, like with having like the Christmas, Christmas time showing up and everything, like what's it like to be a grandparent during that time? Like, is it like, because I would imagine that, as much as I love giving gifts to like my friends and family, like, just whatever I can do, like that's the stuff that like, it makes me so happy, so, but I'd imagine that it probably pales in comparison to the experience of being a grandparent.
Somebody coined the phrase, if I'd have known being a grandparent was this much fun, I'd have done that first. Right. I think it's something to that nature. And, but it is, you think differently. You just process things differently. Like, your dad, okay, listen, my husband is a third shift sleeper. He has been his whole life. It's probably done us good. But anyway, she comes over for the day. Yeah. And she waits for grandpa to get up. Yeah. So he doesn't get to sleep as long as he normally does because she's in there going, Grandpa, I'm here.
Yep. I'm ready.
And so we're good. We have fun and we do stuff. And then grandpa gets up and then I just work here.
Yeah. Yep. She is granddaughter.
That is grandpa's girl. Yeah. And they're out in the garage. They're putting sand in the sandbox. They're feeding the birds. She wants to know what this is. He shows her tools and stuff like that. So, and I'm inside making sure the macaroni and cheese is ready.
Yeah, so she got to eat. Yeah, right.
She's got to have that. But it's, it brings out something so different in you. And now, we have Meg's boys. Yeah. And it's very exciting. I wish I knew. I want to do good things, like fun things for them, and I'm learning what their thing is. And sometimes you just got to wing it and go, everybody loves Legos. No, right. Yeah. And but I can't explain how it's your brain just shifts. It just shifts somehow, and you want to. It almost just kind of happens in a sense. I didn't think about, I'm grandmaing wrong, because those kids will tell you what they need from you. It just happens. Yeah. And they get used to your place. They get used to what's in your refrigerator. Yeah, right. They get used to where everything is. And that's just how it is. So your home doesn't really change a whole lot because they morph very easily. And, you guys always knew where the pudding was at grandma's house and the Milano cookies, like Eric said.
Well, it's that was always the fun thing was that, like, because it was the one place that we could kind of just break out. Like it kind of, like, within reason, like it kind of didn't matter what we did. Right. It's like if we wanted to watch a movie, if we wanted to relax, we could do that. But also we could go play hide and seek in the big basement. We could, it's like, but like, especially like when, gifts would be opened and, like my favorite thing that I wish that, that I could have been more successful at, but, finding the pickle in the tree. Like that was like there was never blood. But we fought over that shit. Like we was like, it's my turn. Like
that little tree. And grandma didn't have like a big tree, like from the floor to the top. That tree sat on a table and it was really pretty. And it was maybe a 4-footer, but God, that thing didn't have a chance.
Well, I always know that we would it was me and Scott. Because like the place that she ended up at was that like it was kind of like, open to where, from the kitchen, you could see completely into the living room. There was no wall. Right. And, but Scott and I would be sitting in the living room kind of like talking. And every once in a while we would just kind of look over at the tree. And it was as if grandma had like just like psychic power. She was like, stop looking. It's like stop looking for the pickle. It's not time.
Scoping it out.
Because I think that was usually one of the first things I'd ask her. I'm like, did you hide the pickle? She's like, I hid the pickle this morning. And she's like, and you're not going to look look for it until it's time to look for the pickle.
Oh my gosh, probably the naughtiest thing you ever did, Kyle. You were not a naughty kid, but you wanted that damn pickle.
It was because it was one of those, like, I was so tired of the big kids getting it, where I'm like, can the little guy just win for once? Like, but
didn't grandma tell you one time, she was like, to the left, Kyle?
Yep. Yeah. She tried to help. I still couldn't get it. It's all green. It's all green.
That's the point.
That's what's so fucked about it, is that I couldn't find it. I was like, dude, like, this is ridiculous. But again, everything else was great. But it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. And when Eric was little and I was still working for your grandma.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the deal, is that, grandma owned her own business, and Christmas would come. And so she would bring all her gifts, and she'd bring them to the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we had the proofreading room, big old table. And so half of December, our job, as it was kind of slow, there. And so, 50 pounds of wrapping paper over here and a bunch of tape. And our job was to wrap all these gifts.
Really?
Oh yeah. We wrapped all those gifts.
So didn't do any folders, nothing, just hung out. Just
not a lot. I mean, we just had a lot of downtime that time of the year. And sometimes she took us shopping.
Yeah.
Sometimes, she knew, today is for the grandkids and we're going to need extra hands. And she would we would just sit in there and wrap presents and talk and, answer the phone when we had to. It was, yeah. So the only gifts I didn't wrap were mine.
Right.
Of course. But yeah, that was a thing. That was a thing. It was a small company. A lot of family worked there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But yeah, that's how your grandma rolled.
Yeah, I think that especially getting to see the couple of times I did get to go into the factories and things like that. Because that was such a weird thing. It never clicked for me. How much that she had really rebuilt her life from the ground up.
Yeah. Right.
And it's she was a successful woman in the 80s or 90s.
80s were prime.
Yeah.
And that, and she just decided, I'm going to keep doing this because, grandpa and grandma had a printing company and morphed into something bigger. And then when it was just her, she's like, I'm not letting this go. There's something here.
Right.
And, you focus on your prime product and you go for it. And so, schools needed their school folders and book covers by the first day of school.
Mm-hmm.
So, we were working, 29 hours a day in the summer. And then in December, we were wrapping gifts.
Yeah.
Kind of. But, she always had a really good company Christmas party. We would always be at a really nice restaurant. We would go and we would have she treated us very well. And, so you get a bonus, however she worked it. And then we go back to her place, the big ass house.
Yeah. Right.
And we go downstairs where the bar is and we drink all night.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I got to deal with the folders
we
all
would
year.
drink,
Yeah.
we'd play euchre, or we would play what was the thing where you drew the pictures? Pictionary.
Pictionary.
Yeah. Yeah. You play Pictionary with 14 drunk people. You don't want to put a pen in your hand on a dry erase board. Anything's going to happen.
Stop drawing dicks. The answer was pinto beans.
I know. When your grandpa and your grandma Shirley were there, and your grandma, she's the sweetest thing. She was probably more sober than everybody. And I was drawing something. She was on my team and she kept going, Sherry, I don't get it. I'm like, come on, it's right there. Yeah, she's so sweet.
Bring in the game, man. You got to do it. Yeah,
yep.
Man.
Yeah.
So, as far as to kind of approach our landing here, when it comes to Christmas time and everything, I am curious. It doesn't have to necessarily be your favorite memory, above all, but when you think about Christmas and whether it was you were a kid or whether or not it was as an adult, What's just like some good Christmas memories that you have that just like have just lasted for you? That like just like either something that just makes you smile or like kind of gets you into that, you know, that mentality.
Well, I have to say, when I think about, you know, there's different stages of my life because, you know, things changed a lot over the years for me. So they, you know, all became something else. But, you know, there was when I was a kid, I decided that those presents are around here somewhere.
No.
Yeah, I did. And I found them.
Oh, God.
I found them. And so I peeked at all my presents and Christmas sucked that year for me. I'm like, well, that I never did it again.
Oh,
never
no.
did it again. I just wasn't like, and that's so weird because I'm not wired that way usually, but something possessed me.
Right. It's
to
like,
do it that year. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to do. And I didn't tell. Did I tell my mom? I don't remember. I'm just like, oh, there's the game of life. oh, this is nice. And I was just opening. There was like no joy.
Pajamas.
I could have opened 14 boxes of socks. It would have been the same. So that, if you just don't peek at your gifts, it's just, but, you know, of course, every Christmas I ever had with Auntie and Grandma there was no.
They're their own
no
top tier list.
Yeah. They're just on a whole another level. But I think, I'm not going to lie. I think Christmas with Aunt Heidi.
I did want to talk about that. Yeah.
Kind of, you know, I mean, that was at a pivotal transition time in our life. And I think we talked about that before a little bit, but that's where we were. And we just did it.
Yeah.
We just did it. And it felt good. And Aunt Heidi spoiled you. And
I cannot express just how much that meant because again, like, you know, with the, you know, to open up just a little bit, guys, like that was a time after, like, you know, you and Dad had split, you know, so it's like, you know, again, like that's old history now, but you know, that was very fresh at that point. And that was the first Christmas after the fact.
It was.
And, you know, as I've gotten older, I've learned more about like behind the scenes of like maybe like conversations that, you know, I didn't need to know about them because I was so young or, you know, different
probably
things.
understand things more now.
Well, very much. And it's just, you know, like, you know, being in the situation that I was in and Aunt Heidi just being like, no, go get him and bring him home.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, no, he needs to be here.
Yep.
And Aunt Heidi, like, you know, she's been, you know, a loner and a hermit for a long time. Like that's how she was happy. She had her home. She worked very hard for it, you know, and like did her thing. And it was like, I never felt unwelcome, but there was always a part of me that like, that knew that like, you know, even just like waking up in the morning where like things looked different, that the house felt different, you know, it was, you know, all those different, you know, kind of like like isolated incidents. But Christmas morning was like, because I remember coming out and I think you were sleeping in the basement. I think I was still in the bedroom upstairs. It was one or the other.
Yeah,
you know?
We swapped places.
Yeah, well, because it was haunted and I didn't want to be down there.
yeah, I got to go downstairs.
But it's like you're a strong woman. You got it. I remember just coming out and seeing that, okay, the gifts are out. Like, wow, okay, that stays the same. That's cool. You know, but then I saw the postcard that was wrapped up as a cone on the table. And I remember just thinking to myself, that's weird. What is that? That's probably just Aunt Heidi's, like, you know, like reading cards or something. Like it's like, but it's like, but like she doesn't even have reading cards. What are those? But that's how I like justified it for myself in my 9-year-old brain. And very soon after you got up, you know, like Merry Christmas, you know, and then she came out and she was just like, all right, let's do this. And she was just like, she was not a good morning person like I am now.
She probably worked the night before.
Right. You know, it's because she's been a nurse for however long, you know,
86 years. I don't know. Long time.
But no, it was just, you know, it turned into this scavenger hunt. It turned into this weird thing that I had never had before, where it was, you know, each card had 2 sentences that rhymed. that led to another clue. And like looking back on it, where it's like she had to sit down, plan this out, get everything exactly where it was going to be to lead me to the big present. And the cone, it was the fact of the postcard before then said something to the effect of, I'm going to butcher this, but it said, you can look far and near, but wait, what's that in your mother's ear? And I looked over and you laid down and stuck it in your ear and waited. And I went, what the fuck? Like, well, I didn't say that, but like I walked over and I remember I opened it up. I think that like led me to like the basement, then that led me to her room, then it led me to the bathroom, and then ultimately it led me to the garage where my new mountain bike was. And it was the closest thing I've had to a Christmas story experience, where it was just kind of like, hey, what's that over there?
Right.
And it made me forget about all the bullshit. Like, cause I don't even remember where I was going that evening or if I was there full time or whatever. But my God, like that was such a fantastic memory. And that's something that, not even just Christmas time. I mean, especially for, holidays, but I think about that a lot, because, it was even the moments of, me being obsessed with, Stephen King's It, and being so young and wanting to, dive into it. And she said, well, Kyle, she's like, I don't know if this is a book you'd be able to read, and I said, well, no, I can handle this. And she's like, no, honey, it's not the content. It's so long. Yeah. And it's like, and I love that because she never said, no, you're not allowed. No, it was just the, buddy, like, this is a big thing.
This is a commitment.
Right. And it's 1,500 fuck off pages. Like, he wrote it when he was on coke. Like, it's ridiculous, but the thing is, she said something to me, like it never happened, but she actually offered, she said, would you like me to read it to you? And I'm like, I've never had a Stephen King book be read to me. I've had like Charlotte's Web and shit, but like I've never had that. Like, but it was just that's the person that she is. Like, she loves to have fun. She was the one person that when I heard people bitching about the remake of it, I'm like, what'd you think about chapter 2? She's like, well, he was a spider. So like I don't understand what it is. Like, they could have done something really stupid, but they did this, it's like, it's anything's better than the original. Like, it's just, like being in her computer room, which was, one of our bedrooms or whatever for the time being. Like, she always had her bookshelf and the book, The Skeleton Crew, with the monkey on the front of it. Still there. It's little things like that have just, stayed in my memory for so long. But yeah, it's just.
That's funny because when you were just talking about that, and I do remember that Christmas for you. But do you know what? She did that. I didn't even know she did that.
Really?
No, I did not know.
I figured you were in on it the whole time.
Nope. She did that all on her own. She didn't tell me anything that she was going to do. She probably stayed up and made those the night before for you. And all I knew was she said, I want you to take this and lay down on the couch. And I'm like, what the hell? Like,
and you just trust her.
What does this have to do with a mountain bike? I mean, I did know that, but yep, she planned that all for you. And she didn't even tell me.
Wow.
So that was precious.
God.
Absolutely precious. She got you like the big thing and I had the little things for you, it had to feel like Christmas. It had to feel normal. And, we did, that is pivotal. That's like the first, no, it would not have been at first. Well, my first house that I bought and your brother and I lived there alone 5 years. And there was a Christmas. I looked high and low for that damn Ghostbusters firehouse.
Oh yeah. That was the big thing.
That was the big thing. And imagine my delight when I found out that you put real slime in it too, because that was a thing, right? So, I mean, I tromped everywhere for that. The year before was a Batmobile. He wanted a Batmobile.
Oh, so was it like Michael Keaton, my Batmobile?
It was it was just like the thing back then. One of my friends from work that helped us do all the wrapping, we could not find a Batmobile. So her mom lived in Georgia or something. And she's like, Mom, can you locate a Batmobile for us? And so she called her. She called her at home and she says, hey, we got one. She says, we're out shopping. She says, we found one. She goes, you did?
Oh,
she says,
God.
yeah, your brother's sitting in it right now.
Sitting in
and
it?
She goes, what do you mean sitting in it? And it was like a play, like a toy Batmobile.
Holy shit.
And she goes, no, Mom.
Oh, God.
I'm like, God, I'm glad they didn't bring that thing
Where
home.
the hell would you put it? Like,
I know. And her mom was so funny. She says, oh, we were looking for like a Batmobile. So, but yeah, your brother woke up and that firehouse was there. And that's probably the most fun Christmas that I had with him.
Yeah.
Because it was just the two of us. And I think that was the year he pulled the Christmas tree down on himself.
Oh, it's the Trivia Friday. Yeah, right.
That's one of the first things I shared. And
follow us on Facebook. We have a wonderful Facebook page. Yes.
Yeah, the roadies, come on over. Fun Fact Friday, I'll tell you all kinds of stuff you might not even want to know. But yeah, I had bought this paper garland somewhere at the mall. I just had to have it. And it was toy soldiers.
Oh.
It was the cutest thing. It was cute. And I got that garland on there and it looked so good. And 2 days later, your brother decided to put something or adjust something on the tree. He was 7. And this was a big tree. It was probably almost an 8-foot tree. I don't know where I got it. And that tree was a little unstable. And I said to him, before I go, don't touch that tree. Don't be
so
going
he's 100%
don't be
going to touch the tree.
So what did he do? He just wanted something. And I'm in the bathroom and I just heard this awful noise. And I instantly, my brain went, there go my toy soldiers. But I had to go out and instead going, baby, are you okay?
Don't do it again, God damn it.
I pulled that tree off of him. He was like smack under it. It was like, it was very Christmas story-ish. But, and you know, what's funny is he was all dressed up.
Oh, no.
Because we were going somewhere and I was getting ready and he was all dressed up.
He's like covered in glitter and like
he
just
didn't
everything.
He didn't want to be there anyway. So yeah, there was that. And you know, I had to fix my toy soldiers with tape.
Because he ruined them. My Christmas is ruined.
That was so yeah. A lot of good times, a lot of good elements, and you know, the people in your life come and go, and they leave their mark. Yeah. And Christmas can really show you who somebody is just because it's about the love in the room and the people that you're with.
Yeah.
And you know, you get those things, and that's just what's ingrained in your head. And you know, like, and like you said, you think about it a lot. You think about it all year long. Sometimes. Yeah,
Christmas is on my mind usually from like the start of the year, where I'm like, all right, what about next year? What's going to happen? You know?
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Now, I mean, like, you won't be with us.
No, I've got a very special trip planned that I am so excited for.
And I'm excited for you. Yeah. You know, I really am. That needs to happen.
Well, I think it was interesting because, you know, like, you know, obviously, you know, like Crystal came up here for Thanksgiving and just, it was fantastic. You know, it was such a good time. Good. I mean, it was because of that, but it wasn't just because of that. You know, it was just this wonderful thing of, you know, how it's like everybody is here, nobody's fighting, there's no bullshit, like, you know, everybody's just having a great time.
No, we ate meatballs and turkey,
right? And it's just it's is it unconventional? Sure, but you know, but for me, like, it's like I remember talking to her about it, and she was just, you know, she was very, you know, concerned, only because she said, you know, well, look, you know, I don't want to take you away from your family, you know, to do this. And I think what I said was, I have had 31 Christmases with my family.
That's right.
I'm like, we're starting our life. We're doing this, and this. I'm like, I want to be able to experience that with you and just have my girl on Christmas, you know, because like that's how like my mindset has changed now, is that, you know, it's holidays were never awful, but they weren't great. You know, so like it was never about like the gifts. It was never about those things. But like, you know, good things did happen one way or another. But it's just it's nice to be able to know that, no, like you're my gift. You know, it's like I'm so thankful to have you, and, you know, to be able to experience, you know, the best time of the year with you. So it's, you know, as things progress, and, you know, as the new year comes, and, you know, next Christmas shows up, like it's just, you know, both your daughters will be here, you know, and so it's just great.
I am so excited about that I'm already thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh my gosh, our girls are all going to be here. And, you know, it means so much to us, you know, as mom and dad, you know, of course. And, you know, like, of course, you know, Chandler, well, Aunt Chris is coming.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the other one that makes everybody else disappear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We vanish. Poof, we're gone. And, but it's so cute to see that. And, you know, I like feeling like the Megs and the Crystals in our life know that they're just part of us now.
Yeah.
And Meg's boys and Meg's mom and her brother, they're wonderful people.
Yeah.
We just hit the jackpot with all of these wonderful people. Yeah. And it just warms my heart. It does me good, because, you know, things do change, but they stay the same.
Yeah.
If you treat people, you know what, you get what you give. Is that backwards? And all I mean is,
get what you give.
Yeah. And I guess all I mean is that, like, I don't know how else to be with people. So how I am is how I am. And sometimes, I mean, I'm a lot, you know, I can be a lot, but it's just because the older I get, that's what's most important to me, you know. Just sitting here with you, you know, like, I know people know that we are that we live close to each other, yet we don't really get to see each other a whole lot, like being in the same room together.
It's not like, you know, Everybody Loves Raymond, where everybody's across the street or whatever.
No, I don't come in with my, you know, food and, you know, correct her potatoes or anything like that. I thought I would just correct some of these potatoes you have.
Marie.
Thinking, oh, okay, Marie. But no, so it's nice. I like to come down here and do this with you, and you know, they don't know what they're going to get.
Yeah, well, I think that it's going to be nothing but good things. And I'm excited for it. Yeah. And it's been awesome to be able to dive into this, and just, you know, again, like, anytime to have you on, it's nice to pull back the curtain for everybody to kind of show you guys, like, no, this is really what it's like behind the scenes, or this is the stuff that's happened, and, you know, this is who we are, the antics, you know. So
yeah, what you see is what you get with us. Yeah, I mean, truly, other than I have on lipstick. Yeah. You know, in my little shirt.
It's Christmas all around.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I figured if not now, when? Right?
But I think either way, this has been awesome. I appreciate you just taking the time to come down here and do this, and just, you know, just to kind of chit chat for a little while. But guys, I'm not sure when this will go up, but I'm sure it will go up before Christmas. So guys, have a Merry Christmas. Make sure you guys are safe, have fun, enjoy everything. Remember, it's not about the gifts. Don't stress about it. Just enjoy the people that are around you. But
that's right.
Usually I give Eric the ending phrase of the show, but today I'm going to give it to you. Is there anything that you want to tell the audience before we officially sign off until the next one? What would you like to say?
This.
Go for it. Yep.
I'm ready for this. I don't care how young or old you are. Sit your ass down and watch White Christmas. Yes. Bing Crosby is going to tap dance with Danny fucking Kaye. Yeah. And it's going to be amazing.
See the jolliest bunch of assholes on this side of the nut house.
Oh, I'm telling you what. White Christmas is a classic. It's beautiful. It has great music, and it has a lodge in it. You'll just want to be there. Go for it. Crowbars up.
That's awesome. All right, guys. We will see you guys next week. Adios.